Welcome back to Tales from the PowerAge. Hope you're all well, guys. You good?
Yeah, good, mate.
There you go. Well, look, we are the champions. We are tonight reviewing in our classic album series, Queen News of the World. So hopefully you look forward to this. We've got a number of things that we'll talk through. We'll go through some of the classic singles that released from this album. There are some classic songs, and you can tell us whether you think this is the classic album from Queen's record. I think there might be some disagreement around this.
Difficult one.
Controversy. Mine is Sheer Heart Attack, but either way, this is a brilliant album. There's some amazing songs on this. So, Queen, News of the World. Let's kick off. So, Gav, do you want to just go to the first slide and just talk about some of the art concept?
Yeah, this was from, I think Roger Taylor found this. It's a astounding science fiction magazine from the 50s, and I think he kind of fell in love with a scary, doleful robot monster, and I think he suggested to the band that that would make a good album cover. So I've just put this in for kind of context. But interestingly, if we go to the next slide, they kind of mimicked it. Obviously, I went back to the original artist and got him to do Queen in the evil clutches of the monster, but they've called one of the press releases "Astounding Queen" after the astounding science fiction, which I never knew, really, to be fair.
Really cool.
But it's yeah. So these are excerpts that I got within the anniversary box set, News of the World. But this was when they were really trying to break America, so there's a lot of American emphasis on some of this, some of the press releases and the like.
Although News of the World was a famous paper on a Sunday in the UK, not for all the right reasons.
No, that's right. And then eventually had to change it. That will go out of business, but switch it to the Sun on Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But this is a thing of beauty. You know, back in the 70s, they used to do these massive billboards. I'm sure they still do, but they used to do massive billboards for rock. There's a famous Kiss, I think it's Kiss Alive 2 one. But yeah, I mean, this is amazing. So this would have been on like Sunset Strip or something. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen that in the flesh. It's absolutely massive. So I just put that in because I love it.
Yeah, looks great.
And then again from the box set, these are the American publicity shots because it says Elektra on it, and we've established that Elektra is the US arm of EMI, which is obviously the UK label.
I guess about that sort of time, Freddie's image was starting to slowly change, wasn't it? Because he had quite a longer hair before that, so he quite bouffant there, isn't it? The hair in compared.
Yeah, I guess all of them are starting to get a bit more conventional looking, aren't they? And their hair's getting shorter. You know, Deaky used to have the really long hair, and Roger too. It's only really Brian that keeps his image the same throughout history. Bless him. It just changes to white. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, Freddie is starting to look kind of more conventional, and it's obviously pre-Tash, which came a few years later. But yeah, they're still good-looking boys.
But a sign of the times, because they're in a position where they pretty much can do more of what they want to rather than what they're told. So they don't need so much, I guess. They don't need to be trying to present this. They can be who they want to be, I would guess, which for me, that's what this record's all about. Them starting to come through as four artists of a massive band, doing more what they want to rather than what they're led to.
Yeah. And in parallel to that, the flouncy over-egged, you know, music that they used to do was aligned with their clothes. So they had this big bombastic look and big bombastic sounds, proggy, and they were honing it down again, just like their style and their haircuts, to be a little bit more succinct and a little bit more direct, which is perfect for the American market as well. I don't necessarily think it was consciously, you know, that way, but I know they've said in interviews they wanted to be a lot less time in the studio and the music to be more representable live, you know, bass, guitar, drums, vocals kind of thing, rather than shit, we need some backing tapes.
At a time when in the UK, certainly, and their EMI label mates, stablemates Sex Pistols, there was massive punk going down, wasn't there, around this time?
It's true.
So yeah,
it's the height of punk, wasn't it? 77, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can come on to there was a kind of a mild influence as well on the album, I think, as well.
Indeed.
Okay, good. Let's go to the singles.
Yeah, with so many classics on the album, you'd thought that the company would put a bunch of them out, but I think in the UK there was only two. The obvious one is "We Are the Champions, We Will Rock You." I haven't got a picture sleeve, but I've got the original label there. It's the classic Queen label, and then it's got the same catalogue number, but it's clearly much later because it's got the new Queen logo on it. But yeah, it should have a different catalogue number. But yeah, I think double A side, I always remember, almost in the era, because I loved Queen even back then, that it was a double A side, and it was, they were kind of thought of as a pair, I think. So we won't talk about the songs too much, but yeah, they were obviously going for the clear artwork without any song titles or anything on it, and just pushing the look. There's the other one, which I do have the artwork for. It's a lovely card.
Yeah.
There you go. The B-side of Sheer Heart Attack. So if you were chilling out to a bit of Spread Your Wings, you're going to get your brain kicked in on the B-side, which is always good.
But I find that really interesting that they actually released "We Are the Champions" and "We Will Rock You" as a double A, whereas they both obviously could have been both in massive hit singles in their own right.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder, to have been a fly on the wall, was that the band saying these songs go together? They're released as a pack. It makes you wonder.
I think they did. Yeah.
I can imagine an record exec saying, let's put those two massive songs that we think are going to be, let's put them on one single and just sell one,
And you won't sell double what you would have sold separately.
It makes you wonder if that's the influence that they were having.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think they're both kind of designed to be crowd chanting,
Yeah. And that was a massive hit. I've got the figures. In the UK, it reached number 2. "We Are the Champions" and "We'll Rock You," and in the US, it hit number 4.
Wow!
So massive. That was a massive hit single.
What about "Spread Your Wings"?
"Spread Your Wings." I've got it. It was released in Feb '78. That reached 34 in the UK. I haven't got the figures for the States, so I don't know if it's released there or if it's But yeah, 34 here, so not such a hit. But
so which came out first?
"We Are the Champions, We Will Rock You" was 7th of October in '77. Okay. That came out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Follow up with "Spread Your Wings" a good 3 months later, so it wasn't like they were pushing it or anything. So,
very cool.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go to the track list and have a chat and a nerd fest about the tracks on this album. Kicking off with "We Will Rock You," coming in at just over 2 minutes. And of course, everyone will have heard this song, whether you've heard it live or watched it live. It's an absolute classic. Great. What can you say? It's a brilliant rock anthem, right? So
I reckon you could go to any corner of the world, play that song, and everyone would know it. Anywhere.
Yeah, agreed. Any other comments, guys? On
unusual because there's no instrument apart from just guitar and stomping and clapping.
Yeah. It's probably the first rock anthem, I would say. I can't remember anything like that beforehand.
Well, I can think of a few.
There are anthems, but I think this was supposed to be a crowd participation anthem.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which they cover in the movie, don't they? I'm not sure it was quite so cheesily done as that, but the idea of, Brian I think says that he went to a football match and he saw the interaction of the crowd, and he thought, well, everybody doing the same thing together. So he was always thinking of ways of kind of getting them involved. And Queen always did that, right through the AOs and everything.
And back to your point, Gav, about them being more of a live act than spending time in the studio, that would fit with that narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that they just they represented "We Will Rock You" with a 2 minute and 1 second version. Just a snippet of what we would all know and see and love forever live. Interesting that they chose to have that.
Just the clean,
portion.
Yeah,
that portion of it on there.
Because they obviously did do a faster version, which in some respects I prefer, but they're so different. I love them both.
Yeah, they are.
That's a proper metal version. I think that some part of the US tour they did both versions.
Okay. See, for me, that "We Will Rock You," for me, the one that I like, the one that isn't on this album, that's the one that resonates with me, typically because it's a bit more metal. But
I've never heard that version.
On the record.
You will have done.
Yeah, you will have. But on the record.
Yeah, you will have done, Gaps, honestly.
You reckon?
Yeah, 100% you'd have heard it in some bar.
It's
You
twice
might
as
have-
fast, basically.
You've definitely heard it.
Well, I can't kind of visual. What is it? Would you say it's faster? Is it faster or slower?
We will. It's just
it's a proper band song. It's
Right.
not a metal song, rock song.
Rog brings it in with the drums, and it's just quite hectic.
Yeah,
it's spot
my
on.
band did it.
Yeah,
not as well as this band did it.
So let's move to. I think I chose this as my favourite track. Actually, We Are the Champions. This takes me all the way back to the early 80s, 83, 84 season when the mighty Oxford United were promoted from Division 3. And I will never forget feeling the emotion from playing this, We Are the Champions. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, I'd grown up on Queen from my parents and uncle and Jethro Tull and the Stones and many other bands. You know, they love Queen, and I've got many of their old original copies in my collection, fortunately. But We're the Champions is an absolute classic. And
it's a timeless classic. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's great memories for me. It's brilliant.
It's one of the greatest songs of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of those songs you think, I won't bother listening to that. And the minute you listen to it, you think, hang on a minute, this is special.
It's just brilliant.
But
to have so good.
To have the smarts, to have the be that clever whilst being awesome rock stars in the 70s, doing what rock stars in the 70s did, to think, okay, right, a bit like Slade did with Merry Christmas. Think, right, we need We Are the Champions. If they're going to write that song, and that's going to be anthemic, it's going to be an anthem for anyone that ever wins anything forever.
Yeah.
Oh, every single person, I believe, that will know, anyone in the modern world will know that, and anyone that's got an emotion of feeling elated at winning something or being with someone that's elated at winning something will sing that, and they will know the words and they will feel it, and they will feel great hearing that song. What a gift to the world.
Yeah,
especially if your team just won the league.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Anyway,
to be linked to that, to have those emotions linked to a rock song, a song, is just brilliant. And as far as the song's concerned, I like the lyrics. We all know this. The way it slips in from "We Will Rock You" into "We Are the Champions" just mind blowing. And when at the piano, when he's saying "I thank you all" as part of this,
it's brilliant.
Very favourite, very favourite bits. We all think of Live Aid and everything, and the iconic performances.
And it was a big live track, wasn't it? It was
track,
which was amazing. So let's
brilliant
go.
bass line as well.
And the
bass in this song is superb.
Yeah.
The guitar solo is outstanding.
Yeah, well, yeah, he doesn't.
So let's go to Sheer Heart Attack, which I think is a favourite of yours, Gaps. I love this song as well.
Yeah, no, it blows you. You listen to "We Are the Champions" and it goes straight into that. And as we're saying, this came out in 1977, and to me, it's just them having a little bit of a nod to the to what's going on around them in the punk scene. Well, Roger Taylor is anyway, because he wrote it.
Yeah,
and it just blows your head off. It's absolutely brilliant. Only slight thing that I don't like is a little bit of feedback in the middle, which sort of gets you in the ears if you're listening to it on the headphones. But the rest of it is really absolutely great song, real fun song.
I think it's a bit of a throwback to some of their earlier albums. So this
it's funny you should say that, Dale. It was written a couple of years before. Yeah. It was kind of resurrected to be kind of in line with the punk thing.
Yeah,
and they thought, they needed a.
Or do you think they might have written it for the actual album when that came out, and they'd never put it on it or something like that?
Seems obvious, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's got a real likeness to Brighton Rock and Stone Cold Crazy from Sheer Heart Attack, hasn't it?
Yeah, or maybe they thought they already had one massive thrasher, which is arguably better.
The internet that I read said they were halfway through that track when they recorded the Sheer Heart Attack, but it wasn't finished when they recorded the Sheer Heart Attack. So they had that. They had the nuts and bolts. They had the bones of the song. It wasn't ready in time. They couldn't make it on there. So that's why it then carried on, for them to complete it. Initially, Taylor sang all of it. Apparently, he sang the lot. But then when it actually resurrected and got onto here, Mercury took the verses.
A wise decision.
And Taylor took the chorus. But Roger Taylor did, I believe, I've got it here somewhere. He I think he played guitar on it.
Really?
Very much. Yeah,
not
Taylor.
All the guitars. He probably did the riffing.
Some of the rhythm. Yeah. Some of the rhythm. Sorry, some of the rhythm guitar, some of the rhythm, and some of the bass. and then May took over with some of the lead. But he was very involved in this track. It was very much his baby. And when I used to listen to it, it did remind it, that punk thing and like the undertones, like some of those bands. It had a real the flange or whatever you want to call it, the echoey stuff. I wasn't a big fan of, but it made it loud and proud, didn't it? And really punky. Yeah, it's quite a change, and to kick in straight after We're the Champions, I love it. It's amazing, isn't it? It's just great.
To try and do the drum bit in the middle, it's pretty impossible.
You can do it, Gav.
Yeah, right. You can, Gav.
You can do it. Right, All Dead, All Dead. Another Brian May written tune. Gav?
It's enchanting, this song, isn't it? It's so mellow and so kind of laid back, but he's talking about death. It's a very weird lyric. Apparently, possibly ruined when I found this out, that it was about his childhood cat.
It wasn't me that told you, was it, Gav? It
was you that told me.
Oh, really? No,
not you. It was Jamo told me.
No, I had it on another podcast, actually. Yeah. And then actually, if you go on Queen Online, there's one of the original versions where the lyrics weren't quite the same. And they've animated it with a cat, so that kind of gives it away.
Yeah.
Musically, this one reminds me of the Beatles. It's very very Lennon McCartney-esque. This the way it's written.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And I loved it for that. Yeah, it's the first time I heard it was this year, believe it or not. And this one really surprised me. I really liked it.
I would have made that connection if I'd have known the Beatles back then. I didn't know the Beatles. You're dead right. Yeah.
It was the backing vocals that first, with this one, the backing vocals got me big time. But am I right? Did Brian May do lead vocals on this one? I've read around and about. So he's doing lead vocals, but the backing vocals it's just lush. It's just so good. The feel when the bass and the drums are coming in, and it's almost a set. When the electric guitars come in, it's almost like a heavenly sound. It's like there's quite a bit of outpouring in this song, which, considering when you then find out, it was to do with his cat when he was young, but it was big. It was obviously it's way more than that. He turned it into something much greater. That was that was the catalyst. But it really did used to resonate with me as a youngster.
I agree. Yeah, me too.
I listened to this record a lot when I was around the 10, 11-year-old mark. Before I found this is one of my first 4 bands I liked. These Saxon. These were two of the 4 that I really, really liked, and this was a record that I listened to a lot then. So yeah, as at that age, it hits you, I suppose, don't it? All being about death. No, brilliant. I love this song.
I love the piano in it as well. Piano all the way through, superb.
Well, let's move on to, is this Mr. Deacon's greatest ever song? I suppose you could argue it is. So
this would be a contender. Story of a guy who's kind of disillusioned with his life, isn't he? And he just wants to fly away, get out of his dead end job, follow his dreams. And I think, obviously that connects with a lot of listeners, especially 10-year-old kids.
Well, this was my most. I would say this is my most listened to song, just singly song, and I put from 10 to 13. This is the song I listened to the most. It reminded me an awful lot of Jukebox Hero by Foreigner,
right?
Like a story of someone that's struggling and trying to make it happen. And it was such a story that I believed every word of it. And I had the lyrics on my inner sleeve. You know what I mean? I had the red inner sleeve, and I read the lyrics. I loved the story as much as I loved the song. Freddie's vocals just out of this world. They're just so much. Musicianship is just brilliant. And then everything's so perfect. Everything about this song is perfect until the end, because it fades out. It fades out.
Yeah, because it flies off into the sunset.
The
idea, I reckon.
I get that, but yeah. I'm surprised it fades out. I'm just surprised. You know what I mean?
Never a fan of a fade out.
Not a big fan. Sometimes it makes sense, and I get that, especially from a more of a pop side of thing. When you've got sometimes, it's fine when you're just dittying out, you're popping out. But that was the only thing. Always just sort of like, I'd have loved some sort of resolve, some sort of resolution there. But that's my thoughts on this one.
Look, just tell us what you've got. Tell us your thoughts around your favourite tunes. Was that Mr. Deacon's greatest ever song that he's written? And what do you think about some of the other songs that we covered as well? So please comment, get involved, hit the house bell, and let us know your thoughts. Gav, I think you've got a couple of bits before we move on to Fight from the Inside.
So yeah, talking earlier about the box set. In fact, I'll go big.
Go big.
If anyone has got some spare dosh, the box set is absolutely amazing.
I wish I could invest in a box
this
set.
fella here. Obviously, there's a massive book with everything you could dream of in there. Big old thick book.
Nice.
There's the original American press pack, and there's absolutely tons of extra goodies. There's the hype sticker.
Yeah. In that book,
yeah.
I'm guessing it hasn't got the poster that came with the album Jazz when you talk about everything you could dream of.
No, that'll be for the Jazz, but I mean, that's how they package the CDs.
That's nice.
Yeah, and there's a DVD or a Blu-ray in there as well with just a DVD actually called The American Dream, which has got tons of insight about the American tour. So that's the box set. And additionally, there was the big Ultimate box set that had a lovely matching green version, which I've also got.
On Virgin.
Yeah, because Virgin bought EMI. Basically, there's only about 2 record labels left now. They've all bought each other. But
see, I don't know too much about Queen. Were they big in America?
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question. They had waves. So this, I guess, was their first wave. They did a hell of a lot of touring on this album, and then they had an even bigger wave with The Game. Another One Bites the Dust. Yeah. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Yeah. So there were 2, I think they're both #1 hits. And then they did the Coronation Street video for I Want to Break Free. Yeah. And our American cousins didn't understand the drag thing and thought they were more like
very tongue-in-cheek. It was brilliant.
Drag thing. And it killed their career overnight.
Drag, not drag.
Oh gosh, really? Yeah. I didn't realise that.
Completely killed them dead. Dead.
Wow.
Dead. All dead.
Gosh.
But they've got a renaissance now with obviously Adam Lambert, and they're touring huge arenas in America now with All Is Forgiven. But yeah, there was a big misstep there, and they hastily made another video for that song, but it was the damage was done. Too late.
The irony was lost.
I didn't realise.
Very much lost. Yeah, no, that's a good question, Gaps.
An interesting to I Want to Break 3 was on. I'm sorry about this, but was on a Football Focus featuring Oxford United. It was the whole thing about Oxford United and their rise up through the leagues. And I'll never forget that. So it's funny how records resonate around certain times of your life and
times
things.
Of your life, yeah.
It's funny how you don't forget stuff like that. Anyway, let's go to Fight from the Inside. So, Jam.
Yeah, so the last track on side 1. This is another rocky one. So you know it's going to say Mr. Taylor next to it. Lead vocal. He did apparently play rhythm guitar and bass again involved on this. I liked it because it had a decent chorus. I at the time I quite liked this song. I wasn't keen on the echoey production, which we didn't mention earlier. The producer on this, that Queen were heavily involved in producing this.
No, good point. Yeah.
With Mr. Stone, but I've forgotten his name. Is it Mike Stone? Mike Stone. Sorry, yeah. Mike Stone and Queen produced it. So I think each individual band member were heavily involved in each of their own songs. Queen are listed first. So yeah, this again is another Taylor song, and I wasn't keen on the echoey production, especially now. It dates it somewhat, in my opinion. But at the time, I liked this.
Yeah, I liked it. It never really one of my favourite songs on the album, but it's I appreciated that the drummer was writing, singing, playing the bass, playing the guitar.
Yeah,
fair play to him.
I certainly didn't like it the first time I heard it. It was a grower for me, so I've heard it. Sounds stupid, but I've heard it about 4 or 5 times now in my entire life. But now I listen to it, and it resonates a lot more for me. It's good. I like it. And it's different as well.
Yeah,
it's a good ending to the side.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move to side 2. Get Down, Make Love. Freddie Mercury. Gav.
Yeah, I was never a fan of it.
Song.
Never a fan of this song particularly. Even on Live Killers, it's
they played this live.
Yeah.
Cool dear.
It's a skip for me. I've never really got it. And
go to the bar for me. This one.
Yeah. So
it's just not a toe tapper, is it? That's what I've got written down.
No,
Weird, so weird. There's a little bit in it where the bit where he goes, every time I get high, which it sort of goes a bit rocky.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's really good, but so different to the rest of the song.
Yeah, you've actually pulled that out really well, Gaps. That's the part that's one bit. I think, yeah, that sounds great. Every time you get down, but then it goes
Mercury.
Especially live when it then goes a bit inside, sort of boom, and you're like, okay, we don't know. So it's not one of my favorites, definitely.
And is that an example of Freddie Mercury being absolutely genius on the one hand, and then on the other hand, there was stuff that maybe didn't work?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I would say so.
Just this album's quite curious in the fact that there's not many Mercurys. You know, for a Queen album, you normally see Mercury with a few other guys dotted in, but this is a complete team effort.
It makes you wonder. Yeah, it just makes you wonder what was going on at the time. He penned "We Are the Champions" for Christ's sake.
That's the thing.
You know?
Yeah,
I mean, please.
It's it's the antithesis of that, really, isn't it?
And it just makes
so
you
different.
Yeah, but he always pushed boundaries, didn't he? He always tried to do things differently, and maybe some things worked amazingly, and maybe this is an example of something that.
And there's no way he was just phoning it in. You know, the amount of passion he puts into stuff like "Spread Your Wings" and all the other songs we love. He wasn't just sitting back. Maybe he was deliberately giving the others a chance to shine.
Yeah. Mm. Okay. Well, we'll never know. "Sleeping on the Sidewalk," Brian May. Gaps, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, it's a lovely little bluesy number, isn't it? Needed a bit of blues after Get Down, Make Love, and it's just a nice little blues track. A couple of great guitar solos in it. Really, really cool. He's singing on this one as well, isn't he, Brian? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
And the introduction, it's so recognisable. It's one of those introductions. The minute you hear it, it just comes straight out. And a great little bluesy rhythm, skiffly type song. I've always really liked it. And this is, again, one of the reasons I love this album so much. It's got so much. It's got everything. I don't mind that it had Get Down, Make Love. It didn't float my boat. But there's someone there that'll have this album that will go, right, because that's different to different styles.
If you're going to have so many different styles on it, you're not going to love every single one.
Exactly, and you shouldn't. No one should like everything. That would be completely wrong. Well, it's just there should be songs. So I'm happy with the Get Down and Make Love being there, because then you'll get Sleeping on the Sidewalk. Someone will have this record and go, that song's bullshit, and that's fine too. You know what I mean? That's fine not to like every song, but I did like the song. It didn't quite sneak into my top 5, annoyingly.
Something for everyone, I think, is what you're trying to say. Yeah. So that was the great thing about Queen. They were really diverse in what they produced in their albums, and I don't think anyone could deny it.
Certainly diverse.
Yeah. So let's go to Who Needs You, Deacon's Back. Lord John. Gav, any thoughts on this one?
Oh, blooming love it. I always did. Even when the peer group pressure was just to like metal and rock at this stage, I suppose. But
peer group, that's Dill and Gappy.
Pretty much. I was quite happy to listen to the more mellow stuff and the silly stuff. I mean, this is silly, isn't it?
I really like this. The acoustic guitar player on this is absolutely brilliant. Lovely little Spanishy feel, superb.
Yeah, and you've got the way they play with the stereo effects, and I always used to love whacking the old the balance to the one side and the other. I used to do that at AC/DC all the time.
Yeah, I always did it with DC.
Yeah, and you just get bass, drums, and vocals for a bit, and then the second guitar would come in, and you got a funfair with this song. Because there's vocals in one ear and guitar in the other, and the backing vocals spiral around, and it's just great. If you're bored out of your mind as a kid, like I was, this was quite entertaining to muck around with. And the song is so beautiful. It's so well written, so well played.
It's a calypso. For me, it's a calypso type rhythm with percussion. Vocals are beautiful. Lyrics. We've got to bring it back to the lyrics, obviously. And I love this song then. I love it now, and this massively. There's a line that says, "I make it 6:30. You come at 7, always trying to keep me hanging round." It's a brilliant line, and I love it. And so, suffice to say, we've all lived our lives. We're at a stage in our life now, and in search of happiness, our own personal battles. Let's bring that into play. the lyrics to this are freaking brilliant, because as it says at the end, who needs, well, I don't need, who needs you? Because you've got to make it out there. And I was listening to this as a child thinking, oh, I love this, not realizing that actually it was going to be quite a life lesson in there as well from the boys, from Mr. Deacon, very wise man, clearly. Because who needs everyone? Just get on with things yourself. And the lyrics in this really resonate with me massively. So this one definitely made my top 5 because I bloody love it.
Well, we'll see our top 5s later on, won't we? Like we always do in our classic albums.
Yes.
It's late. Gaps, any comments around this one? Mr. May back on the writing credits.
Yeah. Again, I've listened to it again. I listened to it tonight. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times. There's lots of bands doing songs like this now. Is what I came away with, is especially on the new wave of classic rock scene. That's what it sounds like to me. Being quite into the new wave of classic rock scene, that's what it sounds like when it's so way back when. So it's a great riff. There's great vocals in it, and the middle 8 is brilliant. The bit just before he goes into the solo is to die for. Great song. I didn't actually realise it was 6 minutes 27. Is that correct?
Longest song in the album.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some way. Interesting.
There's loads of bits to it, aren't there? You know, you wouldn't get a band doing it like this necessarily now, because the tempo changes all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's
there are
completely organic, isn't it?
Then there's songs within songs. We've just had on the record, when you listen to the record through, because again, this record was released in an era when we listened to the record all the way through, laid on our beds. We're not going to get up and change it over. We're going to listen to the whole thing with the words. We've just had Sleeping on the Sidewalk, brilliant, and Who Needs You. Then it's like kicks in, and the guitar was so heavy. It's just great. It's pure Brian May. But the vocals in it, I love. And the crescendo built into the chorus, it really builds and builds until you get to the chorus, and Freddie sounds amazing in this as well, just superb. But it's got a melancholic type feel to it as well. It's almost longing for times of yesteryear. In my book, it's always a bit, it's late, but not too late.
Yeah,
it's just great. I
always think the end bit, we've always had debates with people about our Queen rock, our Queen metal, especially as we got older and they really weren't, in the late 80s, 90s or whatever. If you put on the end of It's Late, which is just a band rocking out full on, when it goes double speed. I mean, that's a band right there, and I think that's the essence of this album is,
But it's weird, isn't it? Because I put that, it rocks out at the end, but then it goes back into another verse.
Yeah, with a classic drum.
It's weird.
And the drums sound brilliant on this album as well. It's got to be mentioned.
Okay, well, let's get on to the final track, which is my Melancholy Blues. So, Jam, you almost gave a really good segue into that, saying it in a way that I couldn't. Then apologies. So another Freddie Mercury tune. So over to you.
It was for me. It's a bit of a downer for me. It was, but I know Gav loves this. You love this one, Gav. Yeah. I know that for a fact.
I know he loves it as well.
He adores this song.
No, I really don't.
I wasn't a massive fan, but it just used to bring me down. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it didn't lift me as it does you. So
it took me a long time to get my head around it. I don't think. Despite me saying earlier that I could listen to anything, I didn't like it to start with because it was just so jarring and just so smoky nightclub somewhere, not in the new sense of a nightclub, smoky bar, piano,
Hang on, unless you're in Bratislava.
Yeah,
I leave that to you two to talk to
another time. But go on, sorry, Gav, go on.
Yeah, so it was so starkly different from the rest of the album that I didn't get on with it to start with. But the older I've got, and the more I just completely in love with it. It's just talent. How can you put a regular, modern singer at a piano and say, "Go on, then have a go"? They wouldn't have a clue. They wouldn't have a clue how to do pop, rock, all these different styles, and then do this. That's my point. Just aghast at the pure talent and versatility and the piano playing and the singing and the songwriting. What more do you want in an individual you know, and then you've got the D key, sounds like an upright bass. Just a lovely way to finish the album.
Okay. Well, Jamie Cullen, if you're watching, apologies. Gav's just blown you out of the water.
Well, I want to see you rock out, JMO.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, that's the album. I hope you agree or don't agree with some of the stuff that we said. Please let us know your thoughts. We're now going to go on to what we chose as our top 5, which then goes into a mix, which Jam's going to talk through in a sec in terms of the official Tales of the PowerAge top 5 from this classic album from Queen, News of the World. So as you can see, some similarities across the board. Some of those songs have been chosen a few times, but the way that we do the voting system might put some curveballs in there. So over to you, Jam.
Well, I do think Queen achieved what they wanted to achieve with this record, and it was like a segue from one world that they were in into the new world, if you like, that led, and we'll see what followed this shortly. But for us, in our top 5, at number 5, it's a tie. Sheer Heart Attack and the iconic We Will Rock You. They both featured in Dill and Gap's top 5s, which lifted those rather well. At number 4, it's Who Needs You. That featured in the other 2 top 5s, but a little higher in our top 5. So quite interesting there, that the way that split. Number 3, it's Late, and that features in all but Gapo's top 5. So all 3 of us voted for that, except for Gap's, and that's what lifted that into 3rd. At number 2, this is the interesting one. At number 2, we'll find probably one of that's Queen's probably best known song, most played song, We're the Champions, which did top Gapo and Dill's top 5, and that's what lifted that to 2nd. But at number 1, this might be a surprise. Anyone that's watching this might be surprised by this. I don't know. The fact that Spread Your Wings featured in top spot for me and Gavs, and at number 3 with Dill, lifted it straight away to number 1. And I'm going to be biased, and Gav's smiling there, but it is, for my money, it's the greatest song on the album. So number 1, rightfully, Spread Your Wings. That's the official top 5 from us.
I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I am. But I would love to hear what the guy, anyone that's watching this, I'd love to hear what your top 5s are. And once you put that down below, make sure you've ticked the subscribe button, because loads of people keep forgetting. So tick that subscribe button.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good shout. That's
Cost you nothing.
Yeah. And Gaps, you obviously know what you're talking about. We were pretty aligned on this one.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Yeah, what came next? Well, what came next is what we're about to show you.
What came next is one of Jamie's favourite Green albums.
It is. I love this record. I really do. I don't know if it's because of the time it was, because I sort of had it around the time when it was coming. We were Tales 10.
Couple of good things.
I'm not getting mine out.
What about the poster?
It had a nice poster attached to it originally.
Yeah. Did you imagine that now? I don't think so.
Ended up on a lot of bedrooms, so to get a second-hand copy is quite difficult.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, a classic album, and yeah, who knows? We might do this. We might go forwards, we might go backwards in the future, because Queen have had so many brilliant albums. So
dreadful cover though.
Yeah, never a fan of the cover particularly.
But having said that, I would love to hear anyone that's made it, that's still watching now, if News of the World isn't your favourite Queen record, and we chose it because it offered so much variety, and I really do think it's an amazing record. What is your favourite Queen record? Tell us in the comments. Love to know, please.
I'll tell you it's Sheer Heart Attack.
Yours is Sheer Heart Attack.
You put it in the comments. But
you say it's not a good cover, but open up the middle bit, Jam.
Yeah.
Because I basically looked at this my entire life going, I want to be them. It's a massive studio. There's about 3 drum kits. There's guitars lying around.
Very cool.
Studio the size of Wembley Arena. Look at it.
Yeah. So for a budding drummer at 12, 13 or whatever I was, I just thought, oh, that's not fair. Give me a kit. I can't afford a kit. You've got loads.
But when you've got a picture like that you can, because I would be laying on my bed looking at this, and I'd be, look at that. That's just mad. You've got all those guitars, and everything about that is just immense. So yeah, good shout, Gav.
Okay, good. Well, that's what came next. Let's just talk through what else we've got on offer on our channels. Firstly, we've got Tales from the PowerAge Live. So there's lots of stuff on there. If you're a huge Queen fan, We've not got any live videos from Freddie Mercury era for all the reasons that we know that we weren't allowed to take videos in those days. Both Jam and Gav saw Freddie at Wembley Stadium, I think in '86, and they'll both tell you that was amazing.
Yeah,
but we do have some videos of Adam Lambert a couple of years ago with Queen at the O2, and that was absolutely fantastic as well. They're close-ups, so definitely worth a watch. Loads of other stuff on there as well, so check it out. You can catch up with us, as always, on Facebook, on Tales from the PowerAge, on X, on Tales from the PowerAge at TTFTPR, online at www.talesfromthepowerage.com, or if you want some merch, you can get it from Redbubble, and there's a whole pile of stuff on there you can buy too. So just a reminder, please hit the house bell. Look at the effort we've gone to produce that for you. So give that a ring and subscribe. Please like, get involved, comment. We'd love to hear from you. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.